Incoming transmission.
What is up, commanders? PDXCON is tomorrow, and in this video I will show you why I think the first expansion for Planetfall could be focused on aquatic gameplay, and talk about some ideas for that kind of gameplay. There is a huge chance we will be introduced to new aquatic locations, new naval units, witness more attention given to naval warfare, and perhaps also to ocean exploitation with more depth, and colonizing the ocean with aquatic colony centers. That's right, colony centers on water. The reason I'm having the assumption of aquatic innovations for the first expansion is a leftover that I found inside the vanilla game while doing some research for my sector in-depth guide video series. I found an aquatic landmark colony upgrade in the Imperial Archive, which is nowhere present in the game, nor does it state its origin. This tells me that this was scrapped from the game until it's more refined and balanced, just like the orbital layer that they scrapped from the game because it wasn't refined and balanced enough. Leonard talked about this in one of the developer diaries, I'll have a link to that below. So would it be good or bad to have more aquatic gameplay? I think it's a great idea, and I'm the opinion that the random map generation in Planetfall is one of the best ever made, and works really well with the sector mechanic. Aquatic gameplay would really spice up the game on planets generated with the continent settings and the ocean slider all the way up to maximum. And even a new setting might be introduced like islands, smaller islands where the majority of the map could be ocean, but three types of it: the coast, the default deep ocean, and a new terrain type, shallow oceans, that extend more than one or two sectors away from the coast. Gameplay like this is possible in 4X games. It's nothing new, and it would add more depth, gameplay choices, and replayability. Why limit the land only? One game similar to Planetfall had this kind of gameplay, Civilization Beyond Earth. You guys remember Beyond Earth, right? No? Yeah, probably a lot of you haven't heard about this game, and those who remember it are cringing. It was supposed to be a successor to the legendary game Sid Meier's Alpha Centauri. Maybe you heard of that one. One of the best sci-fi 4X games ever made, but Beyond Earth was a huge disappointment, and it didn't live up to be a good Civ game. People got bored of it quickly, development stopped, and it disappeared from the radar. I mean, I liked the game, it had a setting similar to Planetfall, and I admit I'm kinda biased towards it, but it didn't stick for long with me either, because after 1 week I stopped playing. Planetfall, on the other hand, is another story. Like all Age of Wonders games, this one has huge replayability potential, and potential for further gameplay development. I want to point out that both Alpha Centauri and Beyond Earth, with its expansion Rising Tide, had the options to construct colonies on ocean hexes and the exploitation of ocean around them. In Beyond Earth, you were even allowed to move aquatic cities from one spot to another. It also had some unique features like the production rate of naval units was doubled in the ocean colonies, while the production of air and land units was halved. If Planetfall introduces an aquatic expansion, I would also love to see a playable aquatic faction, although there will be no faction in the first expansion as stated in the Season Pass infographic. In Age of Wonders 1 we had the Lizardmen, an amphibious race, and all of their units except one had water walking. That's a pretty interesting concept for a fantasy game, but I'm pretty sure something like that could be implemented in a sci-fi setting as well. I'd love to see an amphibious race, and what kind of damage channels would they specialize in? They can't be thermal. Biochemical perhaps, kinetic yes, explosive, maybe if they have a lot of mechanical naval units, arc perhaps, it's possible. I just hope it's not another psionic race. An aquatic expansion would also have to add more locations for the ocean terrain, and more aquatic units for all factions. It would be cool if there was some sort of nuclear submarine that you could build with a Dvar, for example, that launches nukes on strategic world map to inflict some sort of penalty to nuked enemy sectors, like decreasing the colony happiness, or a food income penalty, or simply create fallout hazards. Similar mechanics already exist in Planetfall, such as the Earth Crusher's ability to crush sectors, or the Arborian Queen's ability to spawn forest terrain in sectors. Overall, more options to terraform and affect terrain and climate would be so good for this game, because it's got the potential, it's got a solid base for further gameplay expansion. More ship types would be awesome as well, like a tier 4 capital warship for each faction. I'd love to see the introduction of a new NPC faction in this expansion that is aquatic only, an amphibian humanoid race that can speak properly unlike the Psyfish. Or how about a society that survived the fall of the Star Union in underwater cities and now thinks of all land dwellers as inferior? How about more hazards like typhoons, tsunamis, and maelstroms? For ocean terrain hexes, thick Arctic Ocean ice hexes that slow down the movement of naval units. You know, like we have lava on ground that has high movement cost. Like the shrubland, wetland and barren hexes on land, maybe we can see some dense and violent algae and fungus that decreases movement as well in shallow oceans. A majority of the playable aquatic faction units could also have ocean concealment and be invisible to units without naval detection. They would move submerged, and an idea for a visit site could be an ocean scanning outpost called Imperial Sonar Station that shows concealed naval units in 1 or 2 sectors radius around it. Or perhaps forward bases on ocean sectors could take this role. It would encourage the building of forward bases. In my last 10 playthroughs of 150 turns each, I haven't built one single forward base on land, because I can go without it. But don't get me wrong, I do like the concept of forward bases. Just as we have the aerial defense system on ground, we could have a torpedo launching system on the ocean as well, as a means of repelling naval units to keep them out of your territories. For high value landmarks, there could be a huge hydro turbine that generates a lot of energy and offers an upgrade for naval units that decreases movement cost or upkeep cost. Advanced Imperial Dock Facility could give an armor boost to naval units, or damage reduction, or even decrease the production point cost of naval units. Naval Paragon repair stations could restore health to visiting naval units, and Naval Milestone Charge could replenish the movement points. A happiness increasing site such as Paragon Waterworld. No, not the Waterworld with Kevin Costner. Something more cheerful like the Elysium Parks but on water. How about a site that's able to create underwater earthquakes and target sectors in a 3-sector radius around it to create tidal waves and inflict some sort of penalty to the affected sectors. I miss the big area of effect strategic spells from Age of Wonders 1, where you could nuke entire hexes with huge elemental damage. I'd love to see something like that in Planetfall, and an option to build protective hulls or domes around cities that act like shields against bombardment spells. Aquatic cities could have this as well. I could talk about this for hours, and don't get me started on aquatic secret tech, but I just wanted to share my discovery with you and some ideas as the PDXCON event is nearing, and I'm pretty sure we're gonna see the announcement for the first Planetfall expansion here, as hinted by Leonard on his Twitter page. So tell me, would you like to see more aquatic gameplay in Planetfall? Also, my sector in that guide got delayed a little bit, but it's gonna be up pretty soon. I will upload 4 videos regarding Planetfall at once. So until we meet again on Frontier, you'll have a great Planetfall. End of transmission.